This is a poster that I introduced really early on in art class, as soon as possible. It's one of our first opening lessons in kindergarten, is talking about really using the paper all the way. Sometimes it's okay to have white spots on my paper if I'm making really cool scribble art and I feel really angry and I want to scribble all over my paper. And sometimes we're going to ask that you have no peekaboos on your paper. So the peekaboo is when the paper is peeking through its fingers at you. You can see all the little fingers and all the little white spots, and the paper is not being utilized. Sometimes I will ask that your paper be colored in all the way. And see the circle here? It's not colored in all the way. This one is colored in all the way. This is what I'm asking for. This is what I'm looking for. Sometimes it's okay to scribble. I make scribble art. Some great artists make scribble art. Sometimes it'll be okay and sometimes it won't be. And I will always let you know when it's okay to have scribble art. And that's a way that I talk about it because I don't want scribbles to seem like they're bad or wrong. Just sometimes I'll be looking for them and sometimes it'll be unexpected. And this is a poster that lives in the classroom and we refer to it all the time. So a great lesson I do with that is Kandinsky circles. I'm sure you're all familiar with them. So I take a big stack of paper, especially when I'm teaching this to kindergarten, and I kind of crease a large stack of paper all at once. And I usually use a smaller paper in oil pastels, but I have paint sticks. So I have the paper, it's already pre-folded, and I have yellow dots in the center of each box. So they can see the boxes and they can see the centers. Especially with this being early on in the year, this can be really difficult for some kids who have no experience. Half the side I will use quick stick paint sticks and half I will try to remember to use the Crayola so you can see both. So one of them, I'm going to make lots of peekaboos and just show the kids what it looks like. I usually use the document camera about how the paper is not being utilized, and I'll ask them if they think that my Kandinsky circle is done or not done. Is it colored in all the way? And they'll usually tell me no, and that what do I need to do to fix it? And it's colored in all the way. And I'm like, is it colored in all the way now? And they're like, no, color it in more. So we're going to color it in all the way until there's no peekaboos. And I ask them, how's my first circle? How's the yellow one? Is it good? And they're like, yes, it's good. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to roll down the paint stick all the way. I'm going to put the cap on until you hear it kind of click shut. And then we're going to go for the second color. I chose green. We talk about how there's no such thing as boy and girl colors at school. You can use any color that you want. The color makes you feel good. You can use it. Coloring it all the way. And I'm like, did I do it right? And they're like, yes, there's no peekaboos. Roll down the paint stick. Put the cap on. If you can't push it in, we push it into the table. So those are some things that we talk about every time. And they need repetition. I'm like, did I do it? Is it colored in all the way? And they're like, no. So they love correcting me. They love helping me. They love helping me fix it. I'm like, how about now? And they're like, yes, except for that tiny little white dot. And they'll correct that tiny little white dot. And then I'm going to make the rectangle. And we talk about how it's okay if it gets on the table, it washes off really easy. It's okay if it gets on your skin, it wipes off super easy. That's the great thing about paint sticks. These are the Quick Stick brand. They are solid Tempera paint sticks and they dry in 90 seconds, about, give or take, if it's not too humid. And I say, oh my gosh, am I done? And they're like, no, you're not done. Keep going. Like, how about now? And they're like, no. And you have a whole little class of kindergartners cheering you on to keep going. And I use this as kind of an early assessment tool. you walk around and you take pictures of the kids' finished pieces with the children. And then I use it to make seating plan, a seating chart. And I sit a student who can do this with a student who's maybe struggling and pair them together sitting side by side. And I try to put two really strong artists together. And I don't mean like strong, but like they clearly have a background in art or they have had exposure to art supplies. And then like a child who maybe hasn't, I try to sit them next to each other. And it usually ends up being a pretty good seating chart and kind of like a way of assessing like how they're doing. So I usually already have one of these completed just on a big piece of paper on the board, like a Kandinsky circle. And then like I'll leave one that's, not finished up there so they can see what that looks like. And these are the Crayola brand washable paint sticks. I like to talk about how Kandinsky studied to be a lawyer and was a lawyer for a little bit, and then he changed his mind and becomes an artist. And then it's okay to change our minds. It's okay to not know what we're doing. It's okay to, adults change their minds. It's okay to make mistakes. And I usually have yellow dots because any color can go over them and they don't have to start with yellow. Yellow is just like the lightest color that will like show up on the paper and easily be painted over. And if we look closely at Kandinsky's works, they're not all circles. Some of them are like ovally, some of them are like triangles. We're going to try out all the different colors. I usually use oil pastels. It's a great way to introduce oil pastels and peekaboos, and they usually love the novelty of an oil pastel. This is also a great way of introducing paint sticks. I usually use paint sticks for like a lesson on emotions and color. And I usually only do on the document camera 2 examples, and then I let them go and I keep working on my document camera while they are working. And if you don't want them wasting too much time with the caps on and off, just take away the caps and just let them experience paint sticks and practice putting the caps on all at the end. Like leave 3 minutes at the end of class to put on caps. And if you have time, wash hands. Some teachers want their hands washed by the time they're picking them up. Some people are okay with a quick bit of hand sanitizer works to get off most of it, or a baby wipe if that's allowed at your school. It depends. Everybody's schools are different in what they have available to them. Maybe it's they wash their hands and then line up in the hallway, so at least like the classroom is like emptying out as you're getting kids through joys of hand washing. So these 2 on the left are the Quick Stick paint brand. And I'll try to remember to link all of this in the description below. And then we'll do the last one with the Crayola. This is Crayola's magenta. It seems very different than the Quick Stick magenta. This is the Quick Stick magenta. This is the Crayola magenta. This is the Crayola turquoise. It's very, very dark compared to this light blue color. I'm not sure if that light blue color is supposed to be the turquoise. I'm not sure which one is more. I guess this is more of the light blue. And this is the purple. It's very dark. That's also pretty dark, but this is like more of like, there's a lot of gray in it. Very dark purple. More blue, more violet, I guess. Let's check out their orange. But if you're noticing they're spending most of their time putting their caps on, I would just take the caps away. For preschool, I would just have them do 1 Kandinsky circle versus 4. And sometimes my kindergartners need 2 class periods to do this. And we'll read a book about Kandinsky, The Noisy Paint Box. And you can review things like, I think this red is pretty dull. It's very see-through. It's not as vibrant as the Quick Stick brand. It's hard to see on camera, but it's just kind of streaky and kind of see-through. So walk around, you'll see this is a great assessment tool for early on in kindergarten, and it's a great way to see where they've come. So you can take like their pictures or save this until the end of the school year, and then you could have them make another one and put them side by side and see how far they've come, how much growth there is, and you're gonna see so much growth, especially after December. They're like different kids. Kindergartners after December. If you know, you know. Okay, so there we go. Great way of introducing peekaboos. And then you compare this with a lesson right after where peekaboos are okay, like an emotional painting, painting feelings, painting to music. And this makes a great bulletin board. If you connect them all together, it looks like the color study that Kandinsky did with all the circles on the paper. I'll link that, the full title of that painting that lesson is based off in the description also. Thank you. Happy arting.